And you know what's great about that? I was thinking the other day, you really turned my initial 6 about 15,000 with the remodel on the Wyoming house into 208.
Yeah,
20,000, 240,000.
Alrighty, this is another episode of Good, Bad, and Ugly Real Estate. But it's been a really long time since we've done anything because I'm going to blame it on my brother because we are moving him down here because he's joining us, joining the force
Full time.
full time. Yes, yes, now full time. Now full time. So yeah, so he's going to be joining us full time. He's moving down here, working with us, remodeling with us, and we actually might get things done. Because he moves, he does things, and I don't.
Sometimes.
I do something. I do things. All right. Anyways, so what this video is all about. This is going to be a video of kind of what we're going to do. Is everybody that's part of this real estate group that wants to be part of the Good, Bad, and Ugly Real Estate Show is going to give their origin story, kind of like where they came from, what they were doing before this, why they chose to join our group and actually come down and work with us, what they aspired to get from it, and how they want to change their lives by doing real estate with us.
Was that popsicle?
It's good. And so, like, that way you guys get to see the origin story. You know where they came from. You know why they're doing it. And then as things progress, you'll see them progress in life and in their world, working in real estate, the way that we're doing it. So, all right. My wife Elise, my brother-in-law Dewy, my brother Dewy. My brother,
Wow.
my brother, our first investor because
He just got
I wanted
downgraded.
to invest in real estate and remodel a property, but I didn't have any money. And he had money, but he didn't know how to do it. So I said, hey Dewey, if you give me your $38,000, I'll put it in a house for you. And he said, all right, let me give you my retirement.
Yeah.
And that's how we started.
Yeah. It gets better return now.
It does. He gets a lot more
It gets
money
way
out
better
of it.
return.
Way better return. That 401's doing so much better.
Yes, it is. It just has a different name now.
This is our new family member, Legacy. She's also part of the reason we haven't done YouTube in a while. And then, this is my brother's oldest boy,
Sawyer.
his
Bubby.
His Bubby.
Hey,
I think he might have had a little bit of like
Narcolepsy.
what do you call it? Like camera fear. No,
No.
not fear. Shell shock. He realized that he's being watched by millions of viewers around the world. Anyway, all right, Dewey. Where were you long time ago? How did we begin?
Well, you know, we both went our separate ways. We both grew up working together throughout our teenage years and just into young adulthood. And then, I don't know, 3-4 years after high school, 2-3 years after high school, something like that, I picked up and made a life change, as I do many times, because that's just how I roll. Like, sometimes I just change things drastically. And I moved out to Wyoming and worked in the oil field, and a little bit of moving back and forth to Michigan, but for the most part I stayed in Wyoming. I spent 7 years gone, 2 weeks on, 1 week off. So 2 weeks at a time, gone away from the family, and you know,
Yeah, so you would be like home for 1 week,
I'd be home for 1 week,
and then you'd be gone for 2 weeks.
that included travel. So it really boiled down to about
Oh, that's
6 days, maybe 5.5 days, depending on if I was going on nights or days. Plus, it was rotating, so I would go from 2 weeks on nights, week off, and then 2 weeks on days. So it was really
So even when you were
rough.
Yeah, even when you were home, a lot of times, like if you were on that certain shift, you'd be like sleeping.
Yeah,
half the time.
you'd be awake real late if you came off nights, or you know, just you'd have to really readjust your body every week off to do whatever the next shift was coming on. So yeah, it was a 7 years of that, and then Sawyer and Ava really got the brunt of it. Pretty much all of Ava's life, I was gone 2 weeks at a time, and then a lot of Sawyer's life gone 2 weeks at a time. And then we had the twins. We had twin girls, which you can hear one crying right there. Almost 2 years ago now, and it was around that time, really. Me and you really started talking about real estate a lot.
Yeah.
Like daily, nightly, whatever. At least a couple hours a day, we were talking about it, game planning it.
Yeah.
Figure
I
out
was
what
researching a ton of it.
Yeah.
I just got back from Afghanistan, and I figured, I don't want to spend the rest of my life in the military. I had to do something different.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we were back and forth for a while, and then I started doing a little bit of research. Not as much as him because I was busy a lot, but and then I realized that hey, this is the way to go versus working in the oil field my whole life. And I realized, even though I was making pretty good money in the oil field, as most do, and it really wasn't panning out the way one would expect. You weren't putting as much away and saving as much and paying off as much debt as you really would think you should. So then I started to have a little bit of a change of heart, especially after the twins. I started really realizing, okay, I miss a lot of the big kids' life, and if I don't do something with my life now, I'm going to miss just as much and more with the twins and them. So that was a big part of it, seeing the kids grow up without their dad 2/3 of the time. And then when we decided to do that first house, I was luckily actually laid off for a few months at the time because the crash in 2020. I got laid off for a few months.
Yep. You crashed in the oil field.
Yep, got laid off for a few months, and I got that retirement, and I said, what the heck with it? Let's do something with it. You had that house, and we'd been talking about it, and so I said, yeah, let's do it. And
so pretty much, my brother, he hadn't really been able to save a lot of money. Like you said, nature of the oil field. You're working your life away, so when you have time with your kids, you want to spend money on your kids. And when your wife is home alone and all she's got is her and the kids, you got to fill your time with something. So you travel to the city, you do things that create something of a life for you to do. Next thing you know, I'm sure it makes it hard. Well, where'd all the money go?
Right. You might as well. You realize you might as well have never scaled your life up to an oil field wage. You might as well just stayed working in a factory or working at if that's the kind of lifestyle you want to lead.
If you don't mind me asking, what kind of wages do they make in the oil field?
Well, you're starting
to give these guys an idea on what kind of money you're sacrificing your life for.
Right. Your first guy starting out, it's went down a little bit in the last as industry progresses. Unfortunately, the pays I would say decreased, but they're not as great as they used to be 10 years ago or so. But your starting out guy anymore is about $70,000, 70 to 90,000 a year for your guy starting out in the oil field, whether that's the fracturing side or that's the drilling side. You're right up around there, and then your more experienced hands, you're up in the mid 100,000 range. So it's a 6-figure a year job or whatever that comes out. So it's good money.
So after 5 or 6 years, you can be making $150,000 a year.
After 2 or 3 years, you'll be up there in the mid 100,000 range. Your guy that's been there for 2-3 years is right around 130,000 a year. Just about anywhere, once you get some experience on you. So it's really good money. But the lifestyle also breeds basically just hemorrhaging money too. You got guys in there, and I wasn't even real bad with it, but there are a lot of guys just get in there and they make at 60, 70, 80,000 a year. They know what they're going to make at the end of the year, so they go out and buy a brand new truck. And that's just the industry itself. They basically, the whole mindset behind it is I'm making a lot of money, spending a lot of money. And so even conservatively, you don't even think about how much money you're actually spending every week off on just stuff and things to do. And until we started really budgeting and kind of, at least just even watching our money, we didn't really realize how much we were actually putting out for stuff. And I don't know, eventually we just realized it was time to do something different. For me, at least, I couldn't push it any farther in the oil field. I was mentally broken, mentally tired of the oil field, mentally tired of being gone from my family, and so it was a good time because, well, honestly, the market was just insane in Wyoming for housing. We had hit our 2 years in the house, 2.5 years in the house.
So yeah, let's actually recap a little bit. So a couple cool things that happened while he was in the oil field was, even against my better judgment, and I don't think I've ever told Dewy this, but I was like, ooh, that's a lot to get into for a house. That's a lot of money to spend on a house, right?
Even neighbors said it was a lot of money for that house.
So my brother, when he first got there, he decided, after a while of being in the oil field, said we can afford a house, and a house on some property, a house with some land, that my kids can go and play with the goats and the chickens and the geese and that's part of the life he wanted to buy and build for his family, which is awesome. But at the same time, I'm sitting here cringing because I'm like, that's so much money to have to put out every single month. It's kind of scary, you know. When I'm looking at buying like cheaper houses and remodeling them into like nice cash flowing houses in decent areas, but not to the certain extent. So, do you mind putting out some of the numbers you spent on the property?
Absolutely. Well, so
what
we ended up renting the house for a little while, and then realized they wanted to sell the house. It was a 1,500 square foot modular manufactured house with a two car garage and a decent sized breezeway in between. It had it was a 40 by 50 pole barn out back, and chicken coop and stuff. It was a small ranch, really. I mean, it was not a ranch per se, but it's a small hobby farm size plot of land in Wyoming, really. The house, when we bought it, we got it for $195,000. The neighbors all said that, that it's never worth it. That house is never worth that much money. Blah 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 blah. But just judging off Wyoming, I mean, it actually wasn't a terrible buy.
I don't think it was a bad buy for Wyoming.
Well, the house came with land.
That was the big thing. 40 acres with the house was huge, you know. But yeah, so that was in 2020. I think we bought the house. The beginning of 2020, something like that, March of 2020, I believe. So when we roll around this year, and I was struggling with the oil field, knew I needed to change my life. Realized how good our real estate stuff was taking off. I mean, the other houses we had worked on and the stuff we had going up to the spring was just, it looked great.
So to recap just a little bit on where so I had mentioned earlier that he funded the money for our first remodel.
Yeah.
And he funded the money. I found the property. We both kind of agreed on the property. We've both been talking about it a lot. And he pretty much took all of his retirement money out of his accounts and said, all right, here's the money. Let's do this. So we remodeled the property, and now the property pulls in. For a long time, it was pulling in over $900 a month, and now it's pulling in close to $800 still in rental cash flow. So everything else aside, just in cash flow, it's still pulling in. I think in the high sevens, and it was in the nines for a long time until the market started rising up a little bit on us.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he took what was making not so much, and all of a sudden now he's making $900, $800 a month in cash flow off one property, and then we started making some more money on some of these other properties, and he could just, why am I in this line of work when I don't see my kids, and there's a better way maybe.
And long story short, I'm not scared to tell you a little bit. I mean, I was right up, I think I did the math, I was right up around $3,000 in monthly debt that I had to pay in Wyoming. It was like $2,700, and to me, that was like a sinking ship that I couldn't get off of. Like, I was up in the middle of the ocean, I had a sinking ship with no life raft, because I was like, how am I going to continue to support a lifestyle like that when I don't want to work in the oil field anymore? So, we just decided enough was enough. Let's make another life change like I did when I went to the oil field. I never regretted going to the oil field, so why not make another life change? And I'm sure I won't regret this one either.
People are terrified of life changes, but you learn from every single one of them.
Yeah. So the market was absolutely insane in Wyoming, and I had a number in mind. We got a hold of a realtor, and she came over, looked at the property, and we'd spent some time. I'd spent, just being me, I'd slowly remodeled the property over the, 2 to 3 years of owning
actually, while we're kind of like moving into that, we have pictures of property.
Well, that's not the property.
Nope, that's Dewy's ass.
Okay, it's the neighbors. But
there's the property.
There's
the property. Our bad. That was the wrong.
That was the wrong picture. So this is my property in Wyoming. It's kind of a crappy picture. It must have been a gloomy day. I took this one. I couldn't get a good picture of it, but it really was a pretty piece of property, especially in the springtime. All the grass growing real nice, and so we just did some easy, affordable upgrades. This was the bathroom. This one wasn't easy affordable, and this one was a little more, not upscale, but more expensive.
It was a nice
full shower.
It was a nice shower. I'm a fan of showers. I'm a shower man.
It was like
something I'd spend hours in.
4 by 5 foot shower room with a 2 by 2 walk-in. It was a nice one.
Yeah. Rainfall shower head.
Yep.
Just kind of rained on you.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Had a speaker in there so you could listen to music while you showered, and it was nice. Had a bench in there and stuff. I do miss that a lot.
Yes,
A lot, which
understandable.
means why I've already plotted out the new one, the new shower.
We have a habit of like putting really nice bathrooms and showers in our house.
Yes.
It
I
might
really
not be
like-
worth it. I don't know, but people seem to like it.
I really like bathrooms and showers.
I like bathrooms and
I
showers.
really
too.
do. Yeah, so this is the bathroom. That was the shower. Just that was something I always wanted to build, was a shower room and a nice bathroom. So I did it. It was one of the bedrooms we redone. Nothing crazy. We try to make everything affordable but nice. Like that vanity. I used all rough cut. Planed it down, made it look nice, and bought the hardware to put drawers in and stuff. Put a roller on it. All the countertops I made hand built out of wood from the Bighorn Mountains right next door. Planed it out, made it nice, and epoxied over it. And so it was all affordable, but it's all turned out really nice and yeah, it was good. I mean, it took a little more time.
So at the end of the day, so recap a little bit. You bought it in 2020 for 195, right?
195. Yeah, you say about 196 with closing. Like 106 grand.
And you kind of bought it as more of like your forever home, right?
Bought as a forever home. It was where I was gonna be, and it was a glorious place to be, really, for the time we were there. It was a great place. But yeah, we were planning on spending our life there.
And that's, I guess I'm just kind of getting to, what's crazy is that even though it was a forever home, and it was more or less a house to live in and raise your kids in, it kind of ended up turning into an amazing investment property.
Yeah. So, we did the small updating. I really don't even know how much the updates helped, just because the market went insane on real estate, just like everywhere. It's going up. But in Wyoming, it went through the roof.
So how much did you end up selling it for?
So we ended up selling. We listed it for $385, and we ended up selling it for $373, $325, I believe. It was a weird number because we like doing that. So we ended up selling it for that much. Had a little snag up with the first offer, which we live and learn. The guy offered full price right off the rip without seeing it. And it was hard to not entertain it, but ended up wasting a couple weeks of time farting around with him, and then he decided
It ended up being one of those like hook and sinker kind of things where you hooked him with a full price offer, like, yeah, I'll pay full price. And then when there was like 3 or 4 things that maybe amounted to like $1,000 worth of work that needed to be done, he said, well, I want $50,000 off the property.
Yes. So
I didn't want to pay that $50,000 because there's like $1,000 worth of work that needs to be done on this house.
The red flags were there when he offered it, but for us it was like, okay, full price. Like, it's hard not to entertain.
Yeah, I know.
So we were like, okay, let's try it.
I will say, we did mention maybe waiting for a few more offers.
We did. We talked about it.
But full price is pretty hard to
It's pretty hard
to say no
because,
to.
first of all, I expected the realtor to list it about $320. So when she hit me with $385, I'm like, there's no way. Like, no way. And she's like, trust me, $385, I'm telling you. She did great, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know if she would want me to give a shout out, but she did great. She's in Buffalo. She's a good realtor.
I'm sure she would.
Yeah, her name's Dolly Bellis out of Buffalo. She knows the markets in rural areas like pretty good. I was surprised.
So if you're in Wyoming and you want a good realtor, there you go.
Yep, in Buffalo there. She really knew the market good because, I think I know real estate enough to at least know what my house would have been worth, and she blew me away with $50,000 more, or more than that, $60,000 more than what I was thinking, and it sold. It literally was actually only on the market. Total days on the market, 4 days.
Yeah.
So real estate ended up doing something pretty cool for him because it's kind of like this accidental fall into real estate, but real estate's real estate. Even if it at its worth, a lot of times it holds its value, and if you're not sitting at the top of the market when the market crashes, or you didn't do something really stupid by leveraging yourself all the way out, like, it's a pretty solid bet. And for my brother, it worked out really well. How much cash did you walk away with?
Well, so by the time we sold, after holding it for 2 years, we had it paid down to $185. So we paid it down $10,000. And then by the time we sold at $373, we ended up walking away with $169,750. So we ended up almost doubling our money, really. And that wasn't even our own money because we had a mortgage, so we just leveraged the money, really.
So it was you turned
so it turned $6,000.
$6,000.
You say probably after the remodel, probably 15, 20 grand.
So you turned 15 or 20 grand into
169.
169,000.
Might as well say 170.
So
it was.
Yeah, I'd say
okay.
that's a good 2 years.
That's a good 2 years.
So
how much
did you save out of the oil field?
I don't know, whatever I invested a little bit, probably 8 grand, 10 grand, whatever I invested.
So
plus the 38,000, so probably about 45,000.
For 7 years in the oil field and having a difficult time saving. Everybody does, by the way. This is not even just one.
Yeah.
Like,
I will say too, I did my first oil field job. I actually leveraged out that. I would say leveraged out. I actually pulled my 401k out of that one and bought property as well. And that one
is that the Michigan property?
That's the Michigan property. That one
That's
actually
true.
cash flows $300 a month as well. Long story short, we sold the house June 1st. In the process, I was down here working on a house. In the process of selling ours up in Wyoming. I was down here working on the 8 Mile property actually. And the house was listed down the road from about 4 miles. We came and looked at it, and it had everything that we wanted. It almost matched 8 Mile, with the exception of it being a little bit farther away from our target area for rentals. So this one might end up being more of a flip. But we found this house.
Yeah.
They had it listed at 115. They had offers in on it, and we had 2 days to make an offer before they decided on an offer.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is it was listed at 1,500 square feet, and when we did our research, we came here and we measured the square footage. We found that the reason they listed it for 1,500 square foot was because the upstairs, they put an AC unit upstairs, and they decided that that was now not square footage.
Yep.
And it was almost 500 square feet worth of space that they were calling attic space.
Yeah.
But it was really a room.
Almost finished. A finished room up there, really.
Yeah.
So we just got to put a staircase in.
Yeah, that's it. So the house was actually 1,900 and some square feet.
Yeah.
Don't know. So the crazy thing is 115,000, but the square footage was worth way more than that. So it's kind of one of those nuggets we found.
Yeah, I mean,
in real estate,
the 8 Mile, was listed quite a bit more than this one.
Yeah,
and so once we decided once we put in a staircase, it would be comparable.
Yeah,
maybe with an exception, 200 square feet, 300 square feet of the 8 Mile.
Real close. There's a few hundred square feet less, but real close to the same square footage.
But we're only at 115,000, so. It was a pretty good deal. It definitely needs work. You'll see in the pictures here, right here, you can see the discoloration on the roof. I don't know who did it, but the roof is completely installed wrong, and there's about 3 layers on there. I don't know if you noticed that.
You can see every
There's
layer.
about 3 layers of shingles on there, and they're coming off in certain spots. So that is going to have to get replaced this year. There's a hole that I got to get up there and patch right away. But other than that, the house is solid. There's hardly any, rot or damage under their house. It's just a little goofy layout, but we're remedying that right now.
Yeah, we're gonna
changing
correct the layout.
They didn't really have they were using basically a bedroom as a living room, so we're changing that, making it a master bedroom and making a new living room area, putting in a slide out door. And
so I was gonna say, kind of like backing up a little bit.
Yeah,
so,
we got off track a
so
little bit.
you got your 169,000.
169,000.
169,000. You took that $3,000 a month in debt almost.
Yeah.
And you turned it into how much debt a month? Or you will have turned it into soon.
I've done the exact math. Yeah, I still working on the issues of getting stuff paid off right now, but we have the money sitting there. So once we get all that taken care of, we'll drop our. I don't have an exact number for you, but it'd be somewhere around $1,200 a month at most, and that's with food.
Yeah,
living expenses. That's
living expenses.
$450 for food. That's about where we'll be. $1,200 to $1,300 a month for living expenses, and that's taxes. That's food. That's.
And you bought this house in cash.
I bought this one in cash from the $169,000. We ended up paying $117,250 or something like that is what we ended up offering, because there was more offers, and we realized the hidden gem that it was. So we were like, well, it's worth paying a couple thousand extra just to make sure we get it.
Yeah.
We did get $3,500 back as well for the flooring, because the flooring was messed up.
Credit.
So we got a flooring credit, which we're going to put towards a roof, because we don't need $3,500 for flooring. It has an outbuilding on it. It needs a little bit of work, but it's a pretty nice steel building. I don't know what size it is, honestly, but it's pretty good size. Probably another 30 by 40 or 30 by 50.
Yeah, it's a nice
It's
shed.
got an attached chicken coop on it. Right there's a lean-to off of it. That's just a pretty picture. I figured you might as well throw it in. Real pretty land around it. We're at 8 miles outside of Duncan and like 25 miles from Lawton. chicken coop built in off the back of it. It's got a really nice chicken coop area inside there, which is great because we brought 2 chickens. We brought our barnyard animals, and they are hating the humidity. They yell at me every time we go outside. Believe it or not, chickens yell at you. They're yelling at me every time we go outside. But yeah, you see, it's great. It's beautiful countryside. The cows are surrounding the house every day, and that donkey out there. It's just great. It's pretty out here. It's peaceful. And the property, it came with 2 acres, which surprisingly in Oklahoma, acreage is a little hard to come by for a decent price. So when a house has acreage in Wyoming, the price seems to increase dramatically.
Oh, yeah.
More than a lot. So we were able to pick it up with 2 acres. I was actually pretty pleased with that. I really think resale on this house is going to be phenomenal once.
Oh yeah,
once
I think you're definitely looking at least $60,000 in. So we bought it for $117,000. I think we can hopefully get the value of this property up to about at least $245,000.
Yeah, at least. And so then, you know what's great about that? I was thinking the other day, you really turned my initial 6 to 15,000 with the remodel on the Wyoming house into 220,000,
Yeah,
240,000.
240,000. So you really think about that in two odd years. Yeah, 2 odd years.
Yeah, barely 3 by the time we get done with this one. Yeah.
Yep, turned your $8,000 investment into almost $240,000, and that's just in this Wyoming property to this property that we're sitting in right now. It has nothing to do with his other property that we bought for $85,000, and now it's worth $160,000.
Yeah.
So real estate.
It's amazing. Like
Real estate, yeah.
If like the life change thing, like if I decided that leaving over $100,000 a year to come, I mean it's not a risk because I'm so confident in what real estate's already done for me and what it's going to do for me.
And the amazing thing we talked about is so he left the oil field where he's making over $100,000 a year, and sold the house, sold everything, moved down here, was able to use the real estate he had to buy this house cash. Now his debt's super low. He sees his kids every single day.
Yeah, they come to work with me. So
yeah,
besides I don't know if you brought the little handyman thing. Besides when we do a handyman job, our kids come to work with us every day.
And what's the worst comes to worst, Dewy? If everything fell apart, our real estate, just petered out and it just did okay, and made a few $100 a house, and worst comes to worst, what do? You can just go back to the oil field.
I can go back to the oil field. Because guess what? I don't care who hears this. He can get a job in the oil field dime a dozen when he got experience, so there's nothing to lose,
Yeah.
If it crashed and burned, well, just head back to the oil field.
The true risk for loss is minimal when you're taking a risk like this going towards real estate.
But to me, this is so much more than just even I can just go back to the oil field. I don't plan on it because, at the end of the day, this is the lifestyle I want to live. I don't want to leave my family anymore. I want to work with the family. My wife comes to work with me now. Me and my wife, her mom works with us now. It's, we take our twins that are almost 2 years old. We take them to work and we put them in a little kid room and they can play in there while we work. And, it's just the lifestyle that I want, when you come from doing 16, 17-hour days away from your family 2 weeks straight. I'll take that all day long. So it's not even, it is financial, but it's also very just rewarding for the family. It's
and as your passive income grows, then you just get more and more freedom because you don't have to work more and more, and you go fishing more often. And
we made a pact. Me and Sawyer go fishing every weekend now. He loves fishing. Well, I didn't say me and Sawyer. Now it's been everybody in the family. Every weekend since I got here, we've been fishing.
I fish now.
Yeah, he never fished before, and since we were kids. But, it's just something we like doing now. I don't even really fish when we go. I just hang out and let the kids fish because it's fun.
We throw the poles in and the kids go swimming.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's just, it can give you a lifestyle change that I don't think I could have done any other way, really, from the oil field. A lot of people, it almost feels like a trap sometimes you get in there and you almost feel like you got in too deep. Some people definitely expect, especially, and for me, like I said, it was like, it turned into how am I going to get out? And then this was we were already building this. You've seen me on here a little bit before, so me and you've been working on it for a couple years, so I've been seeing it grow, and I just knew it's gonna work. Yeah, it's gonna work.
It's funny because you can look at it and you can say, oh, I always downplay it a little bit. We're doing really well. Passive income's growing equity's growing, but at the end of the day, even if it was growing just 5% a year, passive income growth is passive income growth. And if you can move out of your job and do this for a living and spend every day with your kids and you're gaining 5% a year, then why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? Yeah. At the end of the day, the risk versus reward was just like, there's so much reward with being able to come down here, you know, have a lifestyle that's free. Like that's, I didn't have to sound corny by any means, but I probably said freedom like 100 times since I've been down here, because that's how I feel. Like I feel so free now. Like,
it's like a huge weight
it's
lifted
like,
off you, right? You just live
like
life,
somebody
you breathe.
they lifted it right off me. I mean, I'm literally in the process of, with the profit, just paying off my whole life debt. And then I'm just going to live free again. You know, like, everybody gets into this weird mentality. And I'm not saying you can't use leverage of banks and everything to get ahead in life, but you got to do it the right way. But it's like in the oil field, it's terrible. You see it so much more prevalent of, you know, and society tells you, hey, I got to buy a new truck. Hey, I gotta have a nice house. Hey,
Everybody's gotta have a nice car nowadays.
Even down to the little things. I gotta go out to dinner at least once a week, at least twice a week.
I deserve it.
Yeah, I deserve it.
I've been working hard. I deserve it.
It's a big lie. I mean, in my opinion, it's a big lie. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you don't need a brand new truck. I've never had a brand new truck. Even the truck I had,
never buy a brand new car again.
That I had a payment on.
Never have another payment.
The truck that I have a payment on, and had a payment on. I regret having a payment on. I wish I'd kept driving my old truck that I didn't have any payments on. And at the end of the day, it didn't get me ahead at all. I could have kept driving the old truck, and it wouldn't have cost me, you know, an arm and a leg to buy that truck. So at the end of the day, if it works, it works, in my opinion. You know, like the idea of, you know, leveraging out your life towards a vehicle and a house that you're never going to make money on, that everybody calls it an asset too. Which in some ways, if you do it like I did it, which was an accident almost, or just timing, I guess. If you're not making money on a house and you're just paying for it your whole life, how is it an asset if it's not making you any money?
No.
You know, if you die with that house and it didn't make you a dime,
the home you live in, if
it's
you spend the rest of your life paying for it and you never actually earn from it, then it's not an asset.
No, it's
just a liability until it actually creates like something for you.
Right. And if you never sell that house and never make a profit on it, what was the point of? It was not an asset, you know, and that's part of the lie, I guess. It's just, you know, now I feel free. I feel free from all that, and I guess I just had, I would say an awakening, but, you know, a realization a year or two ago as time went on. I just started realizing, like, you know, this isn't exactly the life I want to live anymore. I want freedom. I want the ability to start over, you know, and I mean, you can do it. Real estate can do it. You can do it right now if you're in the right position. There's a lot of people that are in the position with this market right now to do it.
Or work your way into that position.
Work your way
into it. You might not be there right now, but work your way into it. Maybe 2 or 3 years. It took him... So you were in there for 7 years, but you really did all of this in the last 2 years.
Yep.
2 years.
2 years. 2 years. I went from zero passive income. I owned one property outright, had another one under mortgage, to now I own 2 properties outright in my name, and I have, I don't know, 1,500 passive income.
Every month?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's doable in 2 years. If I could do it in 2 years, and you know, it's, you know, everybody else can. I would say everybody else can, but yeah, you can do it. Yeah, it's possible. You know.
So we're excited to see what the future holds, and we're excited to see where Dewy goes. And if you keep watching the show, you get to see whether he keeps growing in passive income and gaining more time in his life and more time with his kids, or you'll see if we all crash and burn and he goes back into the oil field.
Maybe I'll go buy a brand new truck again and have to go back to the oil field.
There you go.
I don't know. You know,
you never know.
You never know.
All right. Well, I think that. Do you have anything else you want to put out there?
Huh? So,
all right. Well, hey, I think it was a good episode, but I'm glad you guys stuck around and heard the story, and you get to see where it goes from here. All right. That's it.